What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of MLB action here on Wednesday, May 15th. We had a decent day there on Tuesday, guys. Not all the games are finished yet. We've got the Phillies minus 130. That came through as our biggest bet of the day. We got the Cubs, Atlanta under 8. That one came through as well. We saw the Orioles game get postponed, but we still have Houston, the Cardinals, and Arizona still going on. So we'll have to see how those end up to determine how good of a day or bad of a day we actually end up having. But, guys, we are pretty far under the weather, so we're trying to get this out to you early so we can get a long night of sleep and come back fresh tomorrow and not have to miss a day of videos. So let's keep rolling as we head into this new day here. First, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today. We will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game today. We got the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Toronto comes into this game fresh off of having game 2 of this series get postponed. They obviously lost game 1 3-2, so they're probably not feeling super great about that. It's being reported right now that they are going to have Chris Bassett out there on the mound. He's 3-5 to start the season with a 5.06 ERA, so not exactly an amazing start. His last time out, though, he did look very good against the Philadelphia Phillies. A great hitting team, obviously. He went 6 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 6 in that game, so definitely a great start for him in that one. We've got guys saying that he's, maybe a top 40 pitcher in the majors, which that's pretty respectable to me. And yeah, I mean, his last start before the Phillies start, he did good against the Kansas City Royals, so definitely can feel pretty good with him out there on the mound. The Blue Jays offense, though, has not looked good, guys. I mean, we see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. leading the way for them now, but he has not had the kind of start to his season that he had envisioned. This team has scored 3, 1, 10, 2, and 5 runs over the last few games. It's not amazing, but not terrible. But yeah, this team, they're not trending hard enough in the right direction for me to get super hyped about this offense. I mean, they're still 28th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in on-base percentage. Those are not great numbers. We don't see anybody really off to an amazing start for them right now. So definitely have some question marks about their offense heading into this game against the Orioles, who, are obviously coming off of that postponement. And they're handing the ball in this game to Kyle Brandish, who's 0-0 this season with a 1.86 ERA. He's only making his 3rd start of the year. And while he hasn't gone super deep in either one of his first 2 starts, they've both looked very good. I mean, he's given up only a single earned run in each of those outings. He went 5 innings in his last start against the Nationals, 5 innings, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts. That'll definitely work. And a start before that, going up against the New York Yankees, he went 4 2/3, gave up 4 hits and only a single run. He struck out 5 in that game. So the guy has looked pretty good lately. And man, the Orioles offense, they might not hit the ball well over their last 2 games, but they have been an amazing offense over the course of the season. We've seen Gunnar Henderson get off to a 12 home run, 264 batting average kind of start. I mean, the dude's got 27 RBIs. He's absolutely crushing it right now. This team is 2nd in the majors in slugging percentage. They're only 22nd in the majors in on-base percentage, though, which gives us a little bit of pause, but I mean, they're 9th in runs scored, 13th in batting average. This overall is a very good offensive team. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Orioles are slight favorites, not huge favorites. They're minus 122. We see the Blue Jays are plus 110, and we've got an over-under of 8 or 7.5 in this game, so I think we might want to take a slight look at the under in this one, with both starting pitchers looking so good and weather a possible concern in this game. I mean, they just got rained out in the last one. Guys are going to be well rested, so I don't know who that's going to really favor. Obviously, pitchers' whole, their whole pre-game, rituals and all that kind of stuff is all messed up, so we could end up seeing a lot of offense in this game, so I don't really have a great lean on that. Guys, I think I like the Orioles minus 122 at home in this one. I mean, they are 14-9 at home, and they've lost 2 in a row. Those bats are bound to wake up eventually, and I don't have a ton of faith in Toronto here on the road, but they've got a good starter out there, so this probably isn't going to end up being one of my key plays. Next up, guys, we got the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the Detroit Tigers. We saw the Marlins come away with a 1-0 win here in game 2 of this series. Both games this series have been 1-run games. We saw Detroit win 6-5 in the first one and Miami win 1-0 in the second one. The Marlins are only 12-32 on the season, though, so not looking too hot. They're handing the ball in this one to Trevor Rogers, who's 0-6 on the season with a 6.57 ERA, guys. Yeah, not exactly having a great time. His last time out, he got shelled by the Phillies. The time before that, he got shelled by the Oakland A's, which isn't a great look. Time before that, he had a okay start against the Nationals, but just in general this year, he's not looking too hot out there, and neither really is the Marlins offense. Obviously, they only scored 1 run in Game 2 of this series. They did score 5 in Game 1, so I guess give them a little bit of credit for that, but there's a reason this team is 24th in the majors in runs scored and 29th in on-base percentage, guys. Just not a good offensive team in general. They're 28th 28th in slugging percentage. Like, they're not hitting the ball hard when they do connect. Like, just not a very good hitting team. They're going to need to find a way to score some runs here against the Tigers, who got shut out in their last game, but they're going to be looking to, get back on track in this one. They did score 6 runs in the first game of this series, but they're only 21-21 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Casey Mize, who's 1-1 with a 3.58 ERA, but comes into this one fresh off of a great start against the Houston Astros. He gave only 1 earned run, over 5 hits, over 6 innings, so not a bad start at all. He did give up a home run in that game, so that's a little bit bad, but I mean, it was a huge bounce back spot for him after getting shelled by the Yankees, but before that, he looked pretty good for at least 3 starts in a row, so the guy's had decent stuff this season, just that one hiccup there against the Yankees, and other than that, he's been throwing the ball pretty well. The Tigers' offense hasn't really been anything super special, guys. I mean, over their last 4 games, they've scored 0, 6, 3, 8, 2 runs. Like, that's not going to really get us super excited. They don't have anybody off to a particularly hot start swinging the bat. And yeah, I mean, this team, they're 21st in runs scored, 26th in on-base percentage with an on-base percentage of only .301. That's obviously not great. Team batting average of only .228. That's 23rd in the majors. Seems like you can pretty much pencil in the Tigers to be a bottom third of the MLB type of offense. But looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers don't really care about that. They've got the Tigers minus 162 in this game, so they definitely expect them to bounce back after getting shut out. And with Mize out there on the mound, that definitely makes sense to me, guys. Also, if you look at the numbers, besides the odds maker numbers, we see Miami is 5-15 on the road and Detroit is 10-11 at home. So obviously not a great home team. We also see these teams trend towards the over this season, which is a little bit interesting, but I don't think we're too interested in that, guys. Go ahead and give me the Tigers minus 162. I think they get the bounce back win in this one pretty comfortably. If you wanted to look at them against the run line, I guess you could, but I don't really have enough faith in this offense for that. So just go ahead and give me the Detroit Tigers minus 162. Next up, guys, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. They're currently playing right now. We see Milwaukee is up 4-2 in the top of the 6th inning, so it seems like they're kind of starting to get things figured out again. But looking at the Pirates matchup in this game, we see they're only 19-23 in the season. They're handing the ball in this one to Martin Perez. He's 1-2 with a 3.60 ERA and comes into this one fresh off of a pretty bad start against the Angels, and he hasn't been having a good time lately despite not facing strong offensive teams over his last 2 games. I mean, he gave up 8 hits and 5 1/3 to the Colorado Rockies. Not great. He gave up 8 hits and 4 earned runs over 5 innings against the Angels. Once again, not looking too hot, and the Pirates have not been swinging the hottest bats. They did score 8 runs in game 1 of this series, so we'll give them credit for that one, but I don't know, guys. I don't have a ton of faith in this offense right now for very obvious reasons. When you look at their numbers over the course of the season, not great. They're 26th in runs scored, 27th in slugging percentage, and 26th in batting average. Like, this team just not very good up there at the plate. They did get off to a weirdly hot start, but things have cooled off drastically, and they're going to have to score some runs here going up against the Milwaukee Brewers, who are one of the best offenses in the league. They're handing the ball in this game to Robert Gasser. He's off to a 1-0 start with a 0.00 ERA after just annihilating the St. Louis Cardinals in his first start of the season back on the 10th. He went 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, and struck out 4. Didn't give up any runs, didn't give up any walks. Just a very, very solid outing from him. We're expecting some of the same from this young left-hander. I mean, he's a young guy, so consistency can definitely be a concern, but man, he looks really good in that one, and he's not exactly going up against the toughest opponent, and he's got a very good offense behind him. We see Milwaukee's already scored 4 runs in game 2 here. They scored 6 in game 1, but lost. I think we can expect this team to continue putting up some numbers. I mean, they're 4th in runs scored, 4th in batting average, they're 4th in on-base percentage. Like, this is a top 5 offense pretty much any way you look at it, so feel pretty good about the Milwaukee Brewers in this one. They're also 10-9 at home. They're 25-15-1 to the over, and with over-unders of 8.5 or 8, you could definitely take a look at the over for this one, but I don't really expect the Pirates to score many runs, so what I'm going to do instead in this one, guys, I'm just going to slam it on the Brewers minus 132 unless something really, really weird comes up, so keep an eye on that pinned comment, but I think we're going to be pretty big here on the Brewers to just win this game. They're looking very good in their current game, and it's time for those bats to get back on track, and I think that they definitely will, going up against a guy who is not throwing the ball well right now. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. Washington and Chicago are playing right now. We actually see that Washington won the first half of their doubleheader this morning. They won that game 6-3. They're currently in the top of the 6th inning with the White Sox up 3-0. So things aren't looking too hot for them here in the second half of the doubleheader. But at 20-20, the Nationals are definitely way ahead of where we thought they'd be this season. They're handing the ball in this game to Patrick Corbin, or at least that's who's being reported right now. Definitely keep an eye on that, as with doubleheaders and stuff like that, pitching things can get kind of weird. But he's 1-3 to start the season with a 5.91 ERA. He's coming off a decent start against the Red Sox. He did give up 7 hits over 5 innings, but only a single earned run, so he was getting himself out of trouble there. And in the start before that, he didn't look great against the Toronto Blue Jays, but over his last 3 starts, we've actually seen the Nationals go 3-0, so that's something to at least slightly take into account. And the Nationals have been swinging a little bit better of bats. I mean, this isn't going to be an amazing offensive team by any stretch of the imagination, but if they could get around average or even around like 20th or better in the majors in some of these categories, they could be a decent, respectable offensive team and a team that's going to win a surprising amount of games. I mean, they're probably feeling not too bad here against the White Sox. Obviously, they'll feel a lot better if they can mount some sort of comeback here in Game 2 of this doubleheader, but the White Sox haven't been great. They're only 12-30 on the season. They're handing the ball in this one to Garrett Crochet, who's 3-4 overall with a 4.63 ERA. He looked very good against the Cleveland Guardians his last time out, though, and guys, he's actually looked very good in his last 3 starts in a row. A very good start against the Twins, that's for sure respectable. A great start against the Cardinals, I'm not going to read too much into that, and then a very, very good start against the Cleveland Guardians, where he struck out 11. That's definitely a very good start, so he's got them in a good spot for sure. I mean, he's been pitching really well, but their offense just isn't doing good, and it hasn't been doing good all season, and that's not about to change anytime soon, guys. They're dead last in pretty much every major offensive category. Dead last in on-base percentage and runs scored and batting average. They're also not a good slugging percentage team. They're 30th in slugging percentage as well, so just not a good offensive team overall, guys. And looking at the numbers, it's kind of surprising here. We see the Nationals at plus 120. I mean, I guess it's not shocking with Crochet out there on the mound, but we're going to look at, guys, in this one instead of the side. We're going to look at the over-under. We see 8s and 7.5s out there, so we definitely like under 8 a good amount. I mean, Washington is 21-16-2 to the under. We see the White Sox are 22-18-1 to the under, and I don't have a lot of respect for either team offensively, so go ahead and give me the under in this one. It's got an outside chance to make it into the pinned comment, especially with both teams being like tired. I think we could see a pretty boring game. Next up, guys, we got the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. These teams haven't even started their game for the 14th, but we're trying to get these breakdowns out to you as early as possible. The Reds are only 17-24 on the season. They're slated to hand the ball to Andrew Abbott in this game. He's 2-4 with a 3.35 ERA. The poor guy just hasn't gotten much run support this season, but he's looked pretty good lately. I mean, he had a very good start against the Orioles where he gave up only 2 runs over 5 innings of work and struck out 8. Then he followed that up with a good start against the San Francisco Giants. Obviously not the hardest hitting team, but 5 innings, 2 earned runs. I think that'll pretty much work. I mean, given his spot in the rotation and stuff like that, they're probably not expecting miracles out of him, but the Reds offense has been the real problem, guys. They've been hitting the ball slightly better lately, but just not great. They're 15th in runs scored, but that's almost exclusively due to their hot start early. They're down to 28th in on-base percentage with an on-base percentage of under 300. They're 29th in batting average, guys. As a team, they're batting 217. That is just not going to get the job done. They're going up against the Diamondbacks team that's hit the ball relatively well and has been playing well coming into this series and into this game. They're 20-22 on the year, though, so obviously they've got a lot of work to do, but they're handing the ball in this one to Brandon Pfaadt, who's 1-3 with a 4.60 ERA, and coming into this one off not the best start against the Orioles. I mean, he went 6 innings, gave it 3 earned runs on 5 hits, so not a disaster, but he walked 2 and struck out none. Really weird. I mean, we saw the guy strike out 11 against Seattle, and then he strikes out 4 and then 0. Like, what is his stuff actually like right now? It's not feeling super optimistic to me. We've also seen his team. We've seen the Diamondbacks go 1-4 over his last 5 starts, so that's also not a great indication. The Diamondbacks' bats have been pretty decent. I mean, over their last 2 games coming into their game tonight, we see that they scored 9 and 6 runs respectively, so that's been better. They are still 3rd in the majors in runs scored, 7th in on-base percentage, so overall, I think we can definitely look at this as a plus offensive team, and that is not the case for the Reds right now. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Diamondbacks at minus 140, the Reds at plus 122. Guys, I think there's a decent chance we go with the Diamondbacks in this one. They're looking pretty good. I'm not super interested in the over-under in this game, but Cincinnati is now 8-11 on the road. That's not great. Arizona is 10-10 at home, so that's decent, but obviously not amazing. So give me Arizona as a lean in this one. Will this end up in my pinned comment? I'm not 100% sure. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The Rockies come into this game fresh off of that win in Game 1 of their series against San Diego, but they haven't started their second game of that series yet. We're looking at this as a not terrible spot for the Colorado Rockies, but regardless, looking at the matchup in Game 3 here, they're handing the ball to Austin Gomber, who's off to an 0-2 start, but he's sporting a 3.43 ERA, so not bad at all, and his last couple of starts have been very, very good. I mean, I'm not going to exactly throw the guy a parade for shutting out the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are not a very good hitting team, but following that up with a very good 6 2/3 innings, only 1 earned run against the Texas Rangers, that will definitely work. He hasn't gotten much run support this season in general, so hopefully he's due for a little bit of run support in this game. And yeah, the Rockies have been hitting the ball slightly better lately. I mean, they're riding a 5-game winning streak coming into the game they currently have going on, or about to start here on the 14th. So in general, don't hate how the Rockies are looking right now. They're swinging some pretty good bats. They're hoping they can keep this thing rolling here against the Padres, who come into this game 22-22 on the season, hitting the ball in this one to Michael King, who's 3-3 on the year with a 3.67 ERA, but the guy has looked dazzling in his last 2 starts. I mean, he last time out went 7 innings, gave only 2 hits, struck out 11, and walked 3 against the LA Dodgers. Doesn't get much tougher than that, guys. He looked great in that start. He also looked great in the start before that against the Arizona Diamondbacks. He got 13 runs of support, though, so we're not exactly going to freak out about that one, but still a very good start nonetheless. Looking at the numbers for the San Diego offense, they've obviously been one of the best offensive teams in the majors this year. They're clearly a top 5 offense, looking pretty good in this one. We've seen all kinds of guys get off to a good start for them. Obviously, they haven't been doing what they were wanting to do here in this series against Colorado so far, but that could definitely change. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see Colorado is plus 210. That's a pretty big number. I mean, Gomber's been good this year, and the Rockies have been swinging some decent bats. The Padres are minus 245. That seems extremely expensive, and we got an over-under of 8 in this game. Guys, I don't know if it's going to make it into the pinned comment. Obviously, these long shots can be a little bit tough to hit, but I think I like the Rockies plus 210 in this one. I mean, it's hard to put this in the pin comment. It's hard to recommend you guys take more than a flyer on this game, but if you're making me pick a side in this one, I definitely like the Rockies, and there's some chance it ends up in the pin comment. Motoring right along here, guys, we got the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. We see these two teams. They haven't started their game for the 14th yet, but we saw Kansas City take the loss in Game 1, 6-2, so they're probably not super stoked about that. They're handing the ball in this one to Alec Marsh, who's off to a dazzling start. The guy's 3-0 with a 2.53 ERA and comes to this one fresh off of another very good start. We've actually seen the Royals go 5-0 over his last 5 starts, so that's got to feel great. He only had one kind of questionable start mixed in there. Other than that, he's been lights out. He was even lights out against the Baltimore Orioles, so he's been good even against tough hitting teams, and yeah, he's just throwing the ball great right now. And the Royals offense, while it hasn't looked amazing, has made some slight strides towards like respectability this season. They are 20th in on-base percentage. They're 10th in runs scored though, and they're 14th in batting average. So like if this can be even an average offensive team, I think they could be in a pretty good spot this season, and they're going to need to score some runs here in this game against the Mariners, who are playing well so far. I mean, in this series especially, and they're 23-19 overall, and handing the ball in this game to Brian Wu, who he's going to be making his second start of the season. His first one looked very good against the Oakland A's, although he only went 4 1/3 innings into the game, but he only gave up 1 hit, struck out 3, and walked 1 in that outing. So definitely a good start, but obviously not very deep into his season right now. And the Mariners offense obviously hasn't been great this season, but they're also trending in kind of a positive direction. They're up to 25th in on-base percentage, 23rd in runs scored. So like I said, not amazing, but over their last few games, they managed to put up some runs. They had a very good, maybe one of their best offensive series of the season against the Oakland A's. So definitely something to build on in that one. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Royals are plus 120. The Mariners are minus 134. So that's a little bit steep of a price here for the Mariners. I guess the odds makers are pretty high here on Wu. We also see over-unders of 8 or 7.5. Guys, both of these teams have massive, massive trends towards the under. We like both of these starters a lot. Getting under 8 in this one kind of feels like a gift to me. We're going to go ahead and take under 8 in this game. It's definitely going to be in our pinned comment. I mean, these two teams, we see that Kansas City is 25-16-2 to the under. Seattle is 25-15-2 to the under. This is just a huge under spot. Next on deck, guys, we've got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. We saw the Phillies get the win for us there in Game 2, 4-0, so they continue to look great. They're 2-0 in this series so far. The Mets are only 19-22, and on the season, hitting the ball in this one to Jose Quintana, who's 1-4 with a 5.44 ERA, and comes into this one not off the best start. I mean, it was against the Atlanta Braves, but still 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 6 hits, 3 home runs. That's a bad start, guys. No way around it. And that's 2 bad starts in a row for him. So not super high on this guy. He's not looking great right now. And neither is the Mets offense. I mean, over their last, we'll say, 5 games, we've seen them score 0, 4, 4, 1, and 2 runs. Like, that's not going to get the job done. This team is not hitting the ball well. They're 15th in on-base percentage, a number that's actually trending down right now. We see their slugging percentage is terrible. Their on-base percent, or their batting average is not great either. So just in general, this is not an offense we're scared of, and an offense you should be scared of is the Phillies offense. They're 30-13 on the season, absolutely killing it right now, and they're handing the ball in this game to Ranger Suarez, who's 7-0 to start his season with a 1.50 ERA. He dominated the Marlins his last time out, and the guy has just looked crazy this season, like crazy good. He's looked so good lately. He's just throwing the ball great. No notes for him. I mean, his last start against the Marlins was amazing. His start before that against San Francisco Giants was actually a terrible start for him because he gave up 3 earned runs. Like, that's terrible for him. With how he's been looking, it's just crazy. Looking insane out there. And so is the Phillies offense. I mean, they scored 4 runs and 5 runs over the first 2 games of the series overall. So not exactly incredible, but guys, we are not going to turn up our nose at that. We are a little bit sad that Trey Turner is out. Sorry for the confusion. I've been accidentally like switching 2 players in my head. I got like these 2 white dudes confused. I was somehow thinking about Cody Bellinger, who just came off the IL for the Cubs, when I was talking about Trey Turner having come off the IL. So regardless, that we have straightened out. We know Trey Turner is out. That wouldn't have influenced any of our Phillies picks lately anyway, so it's totally fine. But regardless, looking at the Phillies offense, it's amazing. We see everybody hitting the ball well right now, so no notes for them either. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see over-unders of 7.5 or 8, but we also see the Phillies minus 174. The Mets are plus 150. We're super not interested in the Mets. We're definitely going to be on the Phillies. It's either going to be on the Phillies minus 174 or on the Phillies against the run line, so we'll have to see which one we actually go with there, but definitely going to see the Phillies in the pinned comment once again. We might just leave them in there until they lose a game because they have just been so good lately. And man, minus 174 seems like crazy value with Suarez on the mound. Next up, guys, we have the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Rays come into this game not feeling probably amazing, but they're locked in a tight one right now. It's the bottom of the 9th. Things are all tied up at 3 apiece, so we'll see who eventually comes out on top in that one. I mean, obviously, Boston has a huge advantage being at home, and these new, extra inning rules have a huge advantage to home teams. But regardless, looking at this one, don't feel too bad about where the current game is at, but the Rays are handing the ball in this one to Tosh Bradley, who's 0-1 with a 1.50 ERA. He did get take the loss against the Yankees in his first start of the season back on the 10th, but it wasn't really his fault. He gave up only a single earned run over 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, struck out 7. Not a whole lot of problems with that, guys. The Rays just didn't give him any run support, and they've been struggling with that this season. They haven't been the best offensive team. I think they're probably, given their trends and stuff right now, I'd say they're probably around average in the majors right now. Over their last few games, they've scored some runs. I mean, they've obviously scored 3 in their current game. They scored 5, 6, 7, 0, 1, not a team that's just killing the ball right now, and so we can't feel great about how they're looking here against the Red Sox, who come into this game 21-20, depending on here the outcome of the game they're currently playing, but they're hitting the ball in this one to Tanner Houck, who's coming off of a decent but not amazing start against the Washington Nationals. I mean, he did go 7 innings, gave up 3 earned runs on 6 hits, so not terrible. He hasn't given a home run over his last 5 starts, so that's great. He struck out 4 and walked 1 in that outing. Against the Nationals, we're not really going to throw you a parade for that kind of start, but not terrible. He's definitely keeping his team in games, and yeah, I mean, the Red Sox offense just has been kind of hard to figure out. It hasn't been terrible. It definitely hasn't been terrible. It's been pretty average. There's no way around that. I mean, they're 12th in the majors in batting average, 12th in on-base percentage, and they're tied for 16th in the majors with 175 runs scored. None of those numbers are really a huge indictment of them, but how good are they going to look here against Tosh Bradley, who looked so good in his first start of the season? That's the big question. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Rays at plus 120, the Red Sox at minus 134, and we've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Not a ton of great trends for us to go with right now either. I mean, we see Tampa Bay is 7-9 on the road, but Boston's only 9-11 at home, and I don't know, guys. I mean, I tend to lean towards the home team in this game, I suppose. So I guess give me the Red Sox minus 134, but I also think the under 8.5 is in play as well. I mean, we've got 2 pretty good starters out there, 2 offenses that aren't really dazzling me. So guys, give me either the Red Sox minus 134 or under 8.5. I'm not sure which way we're actually going to go on this, and I'm not sure if it's going to end up in the pinned comment. Moving into the home stretch here, guys, we've got the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. We see these 2 teams currently playing right now. We got the Yankees up kind of big. They're at 5-1 in the bottom of the 6th inning, so I think they feel pretty good about their chances to close out that game. We've seen some progress being made with some of their starting pitching starting to get healthy, so we'll see how long it takes them to actually get on the mound, but yeah, that could be a big boost for this team that's already excellent. They're 27-15 on the year, and handing the ball in this game to Marcus Stroman, who's 2-2 with a 3.80 ERA, but his His last time out, he did not look great against the Astros. He gave up 9 hits on 5 2/3, only 4 runs, but he gave up 2 home runs in that game. Like, not a great start. He's been decent, but not amazing this season. He's done a lot of his good starts against not great teams, which obviously makes sense, but the Yankees' offense has been very, very good. Obviously, they're looking good in their current game. They looked good in their series against the Tampa Bay Rays, and yeah, just everybody's kind of rounding into form now after some of these guys got off to really, really questionable starts. They're second in the majors in on-base percentage, guys. They are 7th in the majors with 202 runs scored, so that'll definitely work. I think this squad is rounding into a top 5 offense. I don't think there was a whole lot of doubt that that was eventually going to happen, but it seems like it always happens like that at the beginning of the season. They're going to hope they can keep things rolling here against the Twins, who are 24-16 right now, looking like they're going to be 24-17, and handing the ball in this one to Pablo Lopez, who's 4-2 to start the year with a 3.89 ERA, and comes into this one fresh off of a couple of pretty respectable starts. I mean, when you're having a great start against the Mariners, they're not a strong hitting team, but a strong start against the Red Sox is something. I mean, he also had a very strong start back on the 17th against the Orioles, so he's shown he's got decent stuff against good teams this year, so we'll definitely be looking at him as a positive starter to have out there on the mound. And the Twins offense, while it's not looking great in their current game, has definitely been trending upwards lately. I mean, ever since they went on that crazy winning streak, albeit against some bad teams, they've been hitting the ball a lot better. Is this going to be a top 10 offense over the course of the year? I don't know about that one, but they are currently 11th in runs scored and 13th in on-base percentage, so definitely not a terrible offense. So we can expect them to do something here against Stroman. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Yankees are at plus 100. The Twins are at minus 112, so I don't know which way to really go in this one, guys. I mean, looking at the Yankees' road record, it's very good. They're 14-9 on the road, and Minnesota is 11-8 at home. But we also are looking at the fact that the Yankees will be coming off a win. I guess we're not going to read a ton into that, though, because it's only going to be like the first game of the series, so that's not awful. I'm also not very interested in the over-under in this game. We see over-unders of 8 or 8.5. Guys, this just feels like a very tight spot to me with 2 pretty good starters out there on the mound. I'm going to lean towards the Yankees plus 100 just because they're playing a little bit better, but this one is not going to be a bet from me. I just don't. I think this is way too evenly matched. I think the odds makers have the lines about right on this one. So, yeah, give me maybe a little flyer on the Yankees plus 100, but not going to be a major spot for me. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. Cleveland comes into this game. They're currently playing right now. They won game 1 of the series 7-0, and right now they're up 6-2 in the bottom of the 4th, so they can feel pretty good about where they're at in that one. This is a team that's needed to bounce back after getting swept by the Chicago White Sox, and so far, or almost swept by the Chicago White Sox. Sorry, they lost 3 out of 4, so, I mean, pretty close there. They're 26-16 on the season, though, and they're handing the ball in this one to Carlos Carrasco, who's 2-3 with a 5.36 ERA, and comes into this one off of a not great outing against those White Sox. He went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them were earned. He gave up 2 home runs in that game. Like, that's not a great look. And in general, I mean, he's serviceable. We'll give him that. He had a good start against the Angels, but he hasn't looked great this year by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, he's an old guy. He's definitely a veteran. He's 37 years old. Like, what does he really have left in the tank? We're seeing some flashes every once in a while, but I'm not going to be looking at him as like a lights-out starter. And yeah, I'm also not looking at the Cleveland offense as really a lights-out offense, although they have scored 7-7 and at least 6 runs so far in their current game. So they're definitely hitting the ball a lot better. They're dealing with the absence of Quan. It seems like they're kind of figuring stuff out up there at the plate. So their offense is looking good right now, and hope is it can keep looking good here against the Rangers, who are definitely slumping right now. It's like they might lose in this game, so they're going to be on at least maybe a 5-game losing streak coming into this one, so that can't feel great. They're hitting the ball to John Gray in this one. He's 1-1 with a 2.36 ERA. The poor guy hasn't gotten a ton of run support. He's going to be making his 5th start of the season. He's looked very, very good as a starter, but he's faced the Seattle Mariners, the Nationals, the Royals, and the Rockies, so it's not like he's been going up against the toughest offenses. Cleveland will definitely be the toughest offense that he has faced, although, like I said, he has looked good, so credit where credit is due. The Rangers offense obviously has been slumping. That's kind of something that goes hand in hand with having a losing streak. Not a big shocker there. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see Cleveland is plus 136. That seems like a pretty reasonable price on the Guardians. Although it's clear the odds makers have very little faith here in Carrasco and a decent amount of faith here in John Gray. The Rangers are minus 152, which seems a bit steep to me. We see Cleveland is 14-10 on the road. The Rangers are 10-10 at home. Cleveland's definitely the hotter team, and while I do expect the Rangers to get back on track a little bit at some point, I'm definitely leaning towards the Guardians in this game. We don't see major trends towards the over or the under for either team, so we're not interested in that. But go ahead and give me the Guardians plus 136. This game has an outside chance to end up in our pinned comment. I don't think we'll be taking both this and Colorado, maybe one of the 2 big underdogs, but I think this spot is not a terrible one for the Guardians. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Oakland Athletics going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. These two teams are currently playing right now. We see Houston up 1-0 in the end of the fourth inning, so they probably don't feel too terrible about that. The Athletics are kind of coming back to earth, guys. I mean, they are 19-24 on the season, which is better than I thought they'd be through their first, 43 games, but we'll give them a little bit of credit. They're handing the ball in this one to Aaron Brooks, who's not off to a great start to his year by any stretch of the imagination. He's going to make his first start of the year. He's slated to. That's what we're seeing out there, so let me know in the comments if you see anything different, but his last appearance out of the bullpen did not look too good, guys. He got shelled by the Arizona Diamondbacks. He gave up 4 hits and 3 earned runs and a home run over 2 2/3 innings. So not a great outing, not the kind of outing you want to have before you put a guy out there to start a game. So don't feel great about this spot for him, and also don't feel great about how the Athletics bats have looked. Obviously, they haven't scored yet in their current game. They scored 2, 4, 8, 1. Like, that's not a great offense. Pretty inconsistent. They have been swinging the bats better now than they were early in the season, but I'm not going to freak out about this offense, guys. And a team that we're also not going to freak out about, but we're starting to like a good amount more, is the Houston Astros. They're 16-25 coming into their game last night, so they're trending in a positive direction after getting off to like a just nightmare start. They're hitting the ball in this game to Framber Valdez, who's 1-2 on the season with a 3.64 ERA. His last start against the Tigers, he looked pretty good. 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 4 and walked 2. So those 2 walks isn't a great thing, but yeah, it's a good bounce back spot after a bad start against the Seattle Mariners of all teams. So didn't love to see that, but love to see the Astros kind of, I'm not going to say that. I kind of hate the Astros. The whole cheating thing really sours things for the Astros for me. But in general, they've been playing better lately. They've been swinging the bats a lot better. They've scored here to start their current game, and over their last few, they scored 9, 2, 5, and 4 runs. Like, this is offense that's coming alive, and it makes sense. Their on-base percentage has been good all season long. They just haven't been, like, hitting the ball that great. But they're first in batting average. Their run scored is starting to continue, or actually continuing to trend in a positive direction, with them now being 13th in the majors with 187 runs. Their slugging percentage is good. Like, this is going to be a top probably 10 offense, right? Or maybe even better than that. And I expect them to charge up the standings here in the AL West. They haven't gotten off to the best start, but nobody in their in the AL West really has. So definitely give them a serious look in this one. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers are huge on the Astros. They've got Houston at -230. Oakland is +200. No faith here in Brooks. And guys, I don't really have any faith in Brooks either. We got an over/under in this game of 8.5, with the Astros being a big under team, but I don't think that really plays right now with their offense looking better. Guys, I'm going to be on Houston in this one. I don't know if it's going to be -230, if we'll take the cowards way out, or if we'll take them -1.5, but Houston seems like they're definitely in a good spot. Will this end up in our pinned comment, though? It seems a bit chalky. We'll have to just wait and see. In the last game we're looking at today, guys, we've got the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. These two teams are currently playing right now. We see things are tied up at 0 in the top of the first inning, so not a lot of information we can glean from that, but the Cardinals have been playing a bit better lately. They won the last game of their series against the Brewers. They won game 1 of the series 10-5, so things may be trending in a slightly positive direction for a Cardinals team that hasn't had a good time this year. They're hitting the ball in this game to Lance Lynn, who's been he's been good over the course of the season, I suppose, but his last 2 starts have left a lot to be desired. He got shelled by the White Sox, then got shelled by the Milwaukee Brewers. Getting shelled by the Brewers, I'm not going to really run you down too much for that. They're a very good offensive team, but yeah, you got to find some consistency. You got to get back out there and do better. And a team to do better against would definitely be the Angels, not swinging the hottest bats right now. And neither are the Cardinals. They are coming off a game where they scored 10 runs. We'll give them that, but this has not been a good offensive team over the course of the season, guys. There's just no way around it. We haven't seen Arenado or Goldschmidt get off to a good start. There's all kinds of talk about shaking up the lineup and all kinds of stuff going on there. So with guys not hitting the ball, ownership, not ownership, but the GM has to be pretty on edge. This is not a franchise that's used to being bad, and I don't think they expected to be bad this season at all. So being 29th in majors in runs scored and 23rd in on-base percentage is not where they thought they'd be. They're 28th in batting average. This is just not a good offensive team, but good news for them is they're going up against a not very good offensive team in the Angels, who are 15-27, or were 15-27 coming into the game last night, and they're handing the ball in this one to Griffin Canning, who's 1-4 with a 5.75 ERA to start his season. He did have a very good start his last time out against the Royals, but he got no run support. He gave up no runs over 5 2/3 in a game that his team eventually lost 2-1. They also lost his start before that, where he had a pretty good outing against the Cleveland Guardians. They lost 4-1 in that game, so the guy's just not getting any run support, but he's been throwing the ball pretty well. And going up against the Cardinals team that's so bad at hitting the ball, that all kind of makes sense to me, guys. And yeah, the Angels offense also not great, not hitting the ball well in general. I mean, they've had some moments lately, but only moments, no like signs of significant like consistent change. This is going to be a well below league average offense. And looking at this game, guys, one number definitely sticks out to me. It's not the Cardinals minus 120. It's not the Angels plus 106. It's an over under being at 8.5 in this game. That is going to be a big yikes to me, guys. We see the Cardinals are 23, 16, and 2 to the under. The Angels are not swinging the hottest bats right now. We've got two, I mean, we'll say 1.5 decent starters. We'll count Lynn as half of a decent starter. So the under looks very good to me in this game. I don't think we're going to see a lot of runs scored in this one. So give me under 8.5. I think this is a very reasonable spot. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.